Grounds Transportation meeting. Call to order and roll call. Myself, Mrs. Livingston Matherly here. Mr. Granlund
I'm here.
and Mr. Johnson.
I'm here.
Okay. The notice of the meeting was posted on the district webpage, published as a legal.
Microphone. It's broadcast. It's webcast.
Okay. The notice of the meeting was posted on the district webpage, published as a legal ad in the Superior Telegram, and posted throughout the district according to school board policy. We'll start with our first item, which is the electrical appliances in the classrooms.
Okay, the reason that's on there is that, I don't know if it's always been this way, but over time, we seem to, the staff have a lot of things in the classrooms now that are really more of their personal electrical devices, whether that be a small heater, a toaster, a coffee pot, a small refrigerator, some cases pizza ovens, fans, stuff that, that we wouldn't normally, the district doesn't normally provide, but we've had issues, I guess, in the first place, should one of those devices ever catch on fire or whatever, the cost of fire, smoke damage and all that is astronomical. We've had situations where in the high school, back-to-back classrooms, the circuits weren't designed to have multiple personal devices turn on at the same time, so we've had circuits kick. The custodians have complained about cleaning up after food preparation in the classrooms, and I guess that's an area I think some schools have completely stopped that type of thing. Other schools may have another different kind of policy, I don't know, but it's one of those things I think we need to look at. There's, the extra electrical usage, and I just think it's something that the district needs to have a policy on, and we need to address. So, for instance, I had all the custodians count in every classroom that's in their cleaning map throughout the whole school, and there's about 85 of different or more different electrical appliances. About 60 of those are purely personal ones. Other ones like you've got ice makers in the coaches area. We've got, we've got stoves and fridges in the classroom upstairs for, what do you call it? Not home ec, but what do we call it now? Yeah, family consumer ed. So it's one of those things where I really think that we should try to limit what we have there, and it gets down to what kind of policy do you want to have? Do you want to allow one per classroom? I know some people have the small heaters, but we don't know where they bought them. We don't know how old they are. We don't know how safe they are, and I guess I'm throwing that out for discussion.
My first blush at this is, if the circuits are 12-2 wire or whatever, they have to be good enough to carry whatever a 12-2 wire will.
Well, for the most part, I think, but we just have had a couple instances where enough of them were turned on between two classrooms.
Right.
I don't know how much juice a pizza oven takes, but toasters and those types of things. I mean, the greater concern is the individual devices that might, catch on fire. You've got old cords, and the usage. I mean, there's a lot of costs involved with, heaters being on 24/7 in the winter and that.
I think if we added up the actual cost, though, if we actually looked at the kilowatt hours, it would be absolutely almost immeasurably low. Actual cost, even though there's 60 of them.
That's just high school.
Yeah, and if you're telling me that it sounds like it's more of a janitorial cleanup kind of a thing, and we're going to limit people to one, but I don't think it's an electric usage thing, because if I tell you how much that light costs per day, it's a minuscule amount,
Well,
I'm a little concerned about the mice.
About the what?
The mice.
Mice?
Mice. I'm concerned about that. We now have some mice because of the crumbs that have been left because of pizza ovens and such.
Yeah, that's a cleaning issue. That's not, so I'm talking about just the cost of the electricity. It shouldn't even probably be part of it. But I agree with the cleaning, and that we ran into it, but where I used to work, microwaves would be coated with crud, and the health department would have, shut us down. And of course, that's a personal cleanliness kind of a thing, and that's where the supervisor, whoever that person's supervisor, has to say, that gets cleaned up or it's out, that kind of a thing. I don't think it's, if the wires are really being overheated, that means they're putting lots of extensions on something, and that's not.
Well, that happens too. I mean, if you walk throughout the schools, we have classrooms where there's cords going everywhere and.
Right. And that's the part that I would be nervous about, and I'd say we should have a policy regarding putting extension cords and those things, but if they're plugged into an outlet, that outlet absolutely needs to carry the load for whatever.
Right, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Would it be possible, Paul, and I'm just asking, just trying to, because you're just looking for ideas, right? Would it be possible where maybe we just had one person at each school that could be the decision maker of whether something was appropriate or not, so that we don't have overload and maybe things that are a little questionable? And I don't know who that person would be,
Yeah.
but someone who'd be knowledgeable, and probably not you because you're busy enough, but someone who they would have to go to that person. They wouldn't just be able to show up with 6 heating pads and 4, but yet they wouldn't necessarily be told no. It would depend on the situation of whatever, food,
Well-
wattage, and they could, themselves kind of establish criteria, and then whoever wants something in their room could go to that person, and that's who they have to get approval from. So you have a little bit of overseeing.
Yeah, I mean, that could be, I mean, to address the load or the usage, I know that some schools have had consultants actually do an analysis and then try to do a determination of what it costs the school for all that stuff. If it's negligible, fine. I don't know if you want me to go to that length or not, but I want to make you aware of it because, if something does happen, we do have a fire, we do have smoke damage, it's going to be very costly. So I guess I want everybody else to be aware of it and not just me.
Yeah,
But-
my opinion is the supervisor, whoever the supervisor is of the person in that classroom, should be the one that says, hey, you got 12 things hooked up here and you got extension cords all over. That's not safe.
Well, that would be the principals.
Then I think that they're the ones that probably should be doing that.
One of the worst things is coffee makers, because they put the coffee maker
There-
on,
that's- yeah, there's all
and then
kinds
they
of-
forget it at the end of the day, and then it's a Friday, and then Monday, the school's burning down, and, there was damage in a building in Superior, an office building that, they were closed on the weekend. But,
So I guess in bringing it to your attention, I'm not sure where you think I should take it from here,
Concern
but.
I have to be uniform.
Yeah. I think we got to start personally, and I may be overruled by everybody. It's okay. Housekeeping is up to the individuals in the classroom, housekeeping, and if their supervisor sees that it's not good housekeeping, that's a supervisor employee issue that they have to take care of. But mechanically,
Yeah, I mean, if one staff person has a heater, a toaster, whatever, I mean, is the principal really gonna tell that person you should really you should have less of those?
I think that needs to be a board decision as to the number, but the cleanliness, the cords, all of that, we can follow through with.
Right.
But the board needs to make that decision of the number, or
I'd-
no number.
yeah, I don't know if we can even have a number. And the reason I'll say that is because I don't know if you guys, I think everybody here is married. My body temperature and my wife's body temperature are totally different. And she can be freezing when I've got sweat dripping, right? So I know even where I worked at Minnesota Power, the buildings are not uniform. We cannot get a uniform temperature, and there's going to be some colder spots and people that are colder. And I'd hate to say all of a sudden, nope, no heaters. And some people absolutely need them.
Well, I mean, we brought it to the table here, I guess, so we can do some more, give some more thought on this and bring it back.
Would you guys be comfortable with, you're saying about, we want consistency, whatever it is, maybe the principal for each school, if next time, they don't have to make an extra meeting, but next time they're together, maybe deciding what because I don't really feel like I'm qualified to say three items in a room. I'm just not. But I would trust whatever was brought back, and I would support whatever they felt would be safe, and because So if we just, the biggest thing would be consistency. So maybe, I don't know, what are your thoughts? If each principal, and it's the same criteria, whatever their criteria is. You know, for example, you can't have a coffee pot that doesn't auto turn off after 2 hours. I don't know if you even allow coffee pots. I'm just saying, could they establish what criteria they're comfortable with in their school? And then they would be the ones in each school that would be the go-to people in the, because there's probably going to be things that we're not thinking about that someone might come to and ask about. Does that sound reasonable, or what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it does. As far as the cleanliness thing, I think if they're making pizza or any other food items, they should clean it up themselves and not say we have people for that.
Right.
And have a,
Totally right.
Yeah.
And then, I like that auto coffee thing, you know, that automatically shuts off, but, you know, there's refrigerator, like you said, small refrigerators. But I'd say that the janitors, the custodians that are taking care of it, if they find things on in the middle of the night, the heaters and the stuff, they mark it down. They don't have to confront anybody. They tell the principal, and the principal marks it down and says, hey, 3 strikes, you're out, pal. You know, you mean, we've found this thing on overnight or over the weekend, you know, but give them the chance and tell them you don't get forever on it.
And that's exactly what I'm thinking. If you have consistency, they have a set of criteria. Let's say you leave your stuff on, then maybe that's it. You know, then it's, you need to, you know, stuff needs to leave the classroom, whatever they decide. That way we're kind of empowering your school
Right,
officials to,
right.
and then we'll support whatever they come up with. Should we move on to the next one? Keep moving here. Next agenda item is report on transportation mechanical operations.
Yeah, I think, you know, if we start having more of these meetings, there's different things that I'd like to bring up and just kind of go over, because most people don't see this or see what we're doing, see what we have, that type of thing. So everybody looks at, you know, the mechanical areas of, well, you know, they're changing tires and fixing motors, but in reality, there's a whole lot that goes on, and Lester's obviously the key, the key on top of managing all that. And so what we did was we included there's an Excel sheet here that has all the fleet buses on. Lester keeps track of that. We look at that when we're projecting out when we're gonna need new buses. So you should have that in front of you. It's multicolored. You know, we have 22 active buses, Lester, and then 3 or 4 that aren't. Next item is inspections, and that kind of governs when they're ultimately, you know, the state ultimately says you can't drive this on the roads anymore. And I don't know how often does that happen again? Once a year? Okay, so they'll pull them out of service if there's too much rust. Anywhere's up in probably over 200,000 miles that happens.
Are you saying that once a year, meaning the annual inspection for each bus?
By the state patrol.
Oh, by the state patrol, not by our people.
No,
Okay.
I mean, we inspect them continually.
Yeah.
But the state patrol finally says you've patched it enough. You know,
Yeah.
You know,
But we do the annual inspection, correct? And there's a little tag. We don't have to do that? Oh, once a year they do that? Okay.
But part of the mechanics routine is to continually check those, and,
Yep.
you know, if you have to patch, you know, the bodies or whatever, you do it. Road emergencies routine, that's Lester's, and I'm gonna let him explain that a little bit, how that works.
Basically, if we have problems, is this on?
Yep.
Basically, if we have problems, either with the bus getting stuck or breaks down or something, I'm there in the morning, and comes over the radio, bus doesn't start, bus is stuck or something. Mark and John, I will dispatch, depending on the situation and the weather conditions. I do either dispatch them both or just one. And there's different scenarios of why I would dispatch one or both. So if I dispatch one, I can have one in the back in case if it's weather related and slippery roads. The other one would be able to react to another bus scenario. So basically that's the emergencies, the road emergencies. If we have an accident or something, in the AM, I would respond. In the PM, I also respond, but I'm usually home at that time. Stacy just gets me on the cell phone, and then I go to the accident scene, and then that's where I would brief Dr. Crony also at the same time, responding.
How many incidents do you think you had in the last year? Or, any time period, I guess? How often is
For
those,
accidents or for just being stuck? Or
any incidents or emergencies or,
we probably had 10.
emergencies.
We probably had 10 the last year where buses either got stuck, a bus wouldn't start,
okay.
scenarios like that.
All right, thanks, Lester. The next item under mechanics daily routine, these guys, Lester keeps detailed records by bus, and there's a routine, a whole lot of routine maintenance that's planned, and that's scheduled. There's a lot of things that may come up where there's breakage, there's something that doesn't run right, but he puts together work orders every day, and there's a file of those, and generally quite a few of them. And then what happens is our contracted mechanic comes in, goes through all those, pulls out the ones that apply to what he would fix or analyze, take care of, whatever, and the rest of them, which are routine, go to the district employed mechanic. And I put detailed lists of what most, but there's more that they do. But if you look on here, I've got a list for the district mechanic. And think of this, with 22 buses, all of those are done to all those buses over time. So there's plenty of work to do. All those inspections are on a planned cycle, and that's pretty strict, especially for the propane buses. That would be, again, the district mechanic. Go on to the next one, the next page. That's a contract mechanic, completely different kind of work, mutually exclusive from what the district mechanic does. A lot of this is it's high-tech stuff, takes special training. The Roush warranty work, Bluebird warranty work, the cameras, maintenance on the cameras, setting them up, Zonar, just a whole bunch of stuff here that keeps them busy. The specialized brakes, the air brakes, all the adjustments that go with those. And this individual also does the HVAC. If you go down to the bottom, come up about one line up, monitor, maintain Menace's building control systems. That's for the actual HVAC of the bus garage. So he understands that and checks it over, sets the set point and all that, whatever it takes to maintain the bus garage HVAC system. So,
Just as a comment, I've found very few people in the area that can work on a Lochinvar boiler system, ever, even the HVAC people, let alone work on a clean burn waste oil heater. So that's actually kind of a weird thing.
yeah, that's a helpful thing for us. We don't have to call somebody from the outside, so. Next item, servicing non-district buses. Some of these have been done where Head Start, the Red Cliff Native Band, the Bad River Band, have brought their, I believe there's some short buses. into
Point of
us.
order. Point of order. Is that our next agenda item? Are we going to?
Yeah,
that?
item number 3,
Okay.
servicing non-district buses. Item number 2 is purely informational. So in future meetings, next time I'm thinking maybe I'll go over the water systems if you're interested in that type of thing. I mean, there's a whole lot of things that nobody sees or hears about that we have to continue to maintain and, as far as who does it and costs and all that. But, so number 3 is, it's kind of a filler job. These 3 entities have brought small buses to us because we're certified to do the Bluebird service work, and the, not yet, I don't think, but the Roush Ford engine maintenance on propane. We can do that, and we're looking at how much we can actually charge for that. I think we pretty much charged costs in the past, but we do know that in Superior, the CAD dealer is charging $135 an hour. we would certainly do some pricing here and increase what we charged for some cost-plus pricing, so. Anything else you want to add on that, Lester? I mean, it's filler work, but just the same, it's an additional revenue source, so. Okay.
Do we have time to do the?
Again, it's filler work, so if it comes in there and we're busy, we're not gonna push our work on our buses aside right away to work on those. And they're told that, they're just gonna have to wait till we've got some spare time to look at it. And the other thing is that our contract mechanic has a minimum number of days. If he has to spend extra time working on it, he can do that.
So all of the income and expenses would be within the school's
That's correct.
budget. It wouldn't be outside of the school's
That's
budget.
correct.
Or,
It comes into the school revenue. Again, it's not a lot, but we have some, and I want to make you aware of it. I've talked to our insurance agent regarding the liability. We're good there. So,
These charts are really helpful. I mean, this is really nice,
Speaking
showing
of
us
that-
kind of how everything lays out.
Right. Speaking of that, could you go back to the same insurance company and ask them if we've got any liability for plugging things into outlets? You know, and find out if that's a problem, because that's another thing they might say, no, it's normal. You know, going back to the topic a couple
oh, okay,
times ago.
sure.
would this be an action item for the regular meeting today? So you need action on it here.
We've already done some of these. So you're going to ask for approval for us, allow us to do it?
On number,
Okay.
number 5, on the servicing of non-district buses?
Correct. That's the only one. So far, everything else is information.
No, the next one will be, has to be an approval item. Number 4. So if we're done with 3, we'll go on to number 4.
Okay, so now we're on special education
Correct.
bus purchase for 2021-22.
Right.
Okay,
For all bus purchases, all bus purchases have to be approved by the board. Okay, this is for a special needs bus that also has to be pre-approved by the state to allow us to code it, the cost for special ed funding. So there's 2 ways to do that. Our special ed director is able to find 100% of that cost in federal flow-through money. They're looking at 65,000 plus or minus. If we didn't have that and we charged it, we coded it to Fund 27, we would still get the 26+%, but in this case, we can use the federal money. But to do that, to do either one, our special ed director contacts the state and they say, yeah, okay, you can buy that bus. Because if we don't do that ahead of time, they won't allow the funding.
And you just need a consensus from us here, and then it'll come as a motion?
Yes, it has to
From-
go, right.
But at open session, it'll come as a motion already from us, correct? We have consensus.
2 items so far.
Yep.
Right. So we just can't go buy the bus and bring it to the board and say, hey, approve this. So,
so do we want any more discussion, or are you guys in approval? I'm a yes.
I'm a yes.
If it's consensus, I'm a yes, but what are we consenting to on the sped bus to allow purchase?
We have the money budgeted out of flow-through, Fund 27, and
That-
we need more.
no, that's my job. Yours is to simply approve the purchase.
Approved purchase. of it.
Just to approve the purchase,
Okay.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
We'll go to open session.
And then even at the open session, I don't think we have to say, I make a motion. This is the
They
motion.
do.
Yep. Okay, because in the normal Robert's Rules of Order, I believe that is the motion, but whatever, it doesn't matter, we can do it.
I'll be in agreement then for both items.
Okay, so is there any more discussion needed for the bus purchasing, or should we move on then to the summer building projects?
But the only thing I just wanted to comment is you do have the mileage chart for the small buses too. That was the second colored handout there, Excel sheet. So we can move on to number 5. Okay, these are the major building projects. I have a a bunch of smaller ones that I don't have on here. We could be here a while talking about those, but these are the big ones. The converting the NES stage to 2 classrooms, that's in process. You've got just 2 of the prints here. The one on top is the first page of the actual drawing. There's a full set that is in the state right now for code review and approval. Once that's approved, then we can actually go after bids to get started. So, but if you look on the left, that left drawing is really I wish I could have made this bigger, but that left diagram is the rooms as they would be, the floor plan as they would be finished. So each one of them is 954 square feet, and the other one is 987 square feet. That's similar to the size of the rooms we have now. Each one would have a double sink, not knowing what the future use would be. Any room that has 4K or the younger ones has to have a double sink system. We don't have that in all our rooms now, but while we're doing this, we might as well set it up that way because, again, I don't know what we're gonna use the rooms for in the future. We just know what we're gonna use them for now. So the cost of that is in the $350,000 range. We'll know more, I guess, once we do the bidding process. But that would be a budget estimate right now. So if anybody wants to see the full set of prints, you're certainly welcome to. I have several sets in my office. As far as completion, that's going to probably push us into September and October. We have to wait for code review, and then, I mean, to be realistic, I'd love to say by the first of the year, or 1st of September, it's going to be done, but I don't think that's realistic. We would try to have the walls enclosed so it doesn't disrupt anything else, and then do the finishing work in September, possibly early October.
Did you have a dollar figure?
Well, the initial estimate is about 350,000.
That's what I thought you said.
Now, that is a realistic, I'm sorry, it's a claimable under ESSR 2 money. So yes, we are watching closely what we're going to be able to spend.
Is that an estimate from the architect?
Yes. Right.
So you've got all the schedules for the
Got everything.
lighting and all that stuff?
Probably not, some of that isn't in spec yet, but as far as what the state needs for code review, there's a full set of prints for that. You know, the structural design and everything is in the prints. So, any other questions on that particular one?
Just going to say, do either of you have any questions or want further information on that?
I think I'm going to want further information, but it's not something we need from here. I can come to your office and get that. That'd be fine.
Okay, sure. NES windows, we did the north side 2 years ago. Put a lot of things on hold last year because of the COVID. A lot of the stuff we didn't do. That's been scheduled, those will be replaced in October on the south side. They're H windows, just like the ones on the north side. NES carpet, we were trying to do 8 rooms a year for 3 years to get that completed. So we've actually, the 8 rooms this year will be starting in right around the first week of July. There's a project that was designed and actually could be bid anytime for a locker area security at the high school. What that involves is where the elevator is, we would have a controllable partition that cuts off that corridor. And that came out of the training for school safety and the Alice training, yes. That actually does seal off those windows up above, or partial open areas above the lockers. We had situations where we've had large groups in here and kids are climbing through those and everywheres, and we just need to seal off that area. So, and
What were you gonna put there?
$78,000 of a gate,
It's a gate system plus blocking off, it would be glassing in, plexiglassing, whatever. The upper areas of, if you go look in the locker area, you're standing in the commons, okay, that partition would come across, and there's structural right above that to the right of the elevator. Okay, so we would be able to electronically close that off. And then if you look in towards the lockers, you can see it's open above them, and there's a walkway through that. Okay, we would want that doorway to be able to be locked. There's no door there now. And then glass off the upper part going into the locker room instead of it being open.
Is that any issue with the, if there's a fire for escaping the building?
Well, it could be if there was a need to close it off, I guess. That wasn't part of the analysis, but that could be a additional feature.
Question on the dollar amount. No, not the dollar amount, the NES windows. Did you say October?
No, on the windows, we expect that to be done by the start of school.
Good, thank you.
No, because that involves touching every classroom. Okay? Okay, next one is, okay, we've got a building recommissioning project that includes rebalancing all the HVAC, looking through all the HVAC equipment. You're welcome to see that proposal too. It's very detailed.
I would appreciate that. And do you have a contractor to do that already?
Yes.
And you've already chosen them? You've already made the
It's
contract?
right, it's KFI out of Minneapolis, or out of.
Okay, so they're not the contractor that would do any work. They're just a consultant?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I could talk to you more about that later too.
That's really a foundation for setting up a 5-year plan for replacing HVAC equipment. So that's kind of the start of that type of thing, so. Water systems, that's, for us, we rely on the wells we have. MSC Engineering, I've worked with them since I almost started here on both the wastewater systems and the water systems. So I've got some small projects that we're going to do, like replacing the Alexson well, replacing the water tank down there. It's an old ancient tank that
From the mid-70s.
waterlogs. I mean, it needs a newer style bladder tank. We've got tank level gauges we need on the tank system at the middle school. We've got some pneumatic valves that should be replaced with electric valves. Some overflow piping to change, and a number of small projects. We have 2 manholes that where the water line from the Alexson well goes underneath Highway 2. Well, those 2 manholes, one on each side. There's a change in elevation. There's air bleeder valves on those. Well, if those things fill up with groundwater,
Right.
you know, the bleeder valves, then what happens is you get natural bacteria, you know, into the water system. Then it requires flushing the whole system.
Right.
So
Is that
so-
line from Alexson's well ever been replaced? It was put
No.
in the mid-70s.
It's a big copper. It's a big copper line.
Big copper line.
Big
but-
copper line.
okay.
Yes. So what we want to do there is have alarms on those, like a light alarm. You know, like you see the solar panels used everywhere. We need to put 2. We either have to wire them in from the power poles and pay for electrical, or in this case, MSA has got a solution there where we use solar powered indicators in the well, and so if they get up to a certain level, then the light will be on outside, so we can check that. Because what happens is one of them on the road on the south side of Highway 2, we can get as much as 10 or 12 feet of snow on top of that. I had to have that dug out a couple of years ago. It's not a fun deal to have to do, because we have to periodically pop the manholes, check and see how much water's in there, then drag a pump down, a trash pump, and pump them out. So this way we've got an alarm that should be pretty reliable in terms of a light that goes on when there's too much in there. So that's one of them. These seem like small things, but all it takes is one bit of bacteria and it infects the whole system. So, in the future, I'm gonna have them, price out, inspect. The well head at the middle school needs to be replaced. It's kind of obvious. It's looks like it's gonna fall over. It's really not, but it needs to be brought up to DNR specs, so I'm having him look at that too.
Paul, you said we talked about the Alexon well. Do we have any indication that that's going to continue being a good well for a long time?
There's no indication that it won't.
Okay.
We replaced the pump a while back, and
And do we not own the well up on Highway P anymore? Did we get rid of that we drilled?
I traded those wells for the right to run sewage to Poplar.
Okay, all right. So we don't own that anymore.
No, there was double. There was two there, two deep wells.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that the village was using for all the businesses,
Right,
and we paid for all the inspections and the well costs.
right. But they're not ours.
No, we sold that. Those are in the village's hands.
out if that well ever did go bad, whatever.
Well, that was too far away. I mean, it could have been piped, but it was a better deal getting rid of them and trading them for the right to run sewage. The north paving at the middle school, you've been driven by there and, you know, been jolted. I gotta do something there. So we'll get some quotes on that. And then, Jamar is doing a roof analysis on all of our roofs. They've done that before. They do a detailed one. They've done a detailed one for me the last several times on NES. We were within a couple of years of having to replace that. It's reached its end of life, so. And that's pretty much it for my report, so.
How many years did that NES roof last?
Well, it was built in 97, 96, 97. So,
20 years. 25 years? Almost.
yeah, I mean, for a ballasted roof, I don't know if the newer ones last longer than that or not, but
The new one won't be ballast roof.
no, it'll be a membrane, but won't be ballasted. So, but we've done maintenance on that through the years. I mean, redistributing ballast and having checked for the tears along the edges, that type of thing.
Well, and the good news, when you do replace it and you don't have the rocks on there, you can inspect it with an infrared camera so much easier and see exactly what's going
Right, easier to see what's wrong with
on.
it,
Huge difference.
yeah. So. Any more questions on any of this?
So are you thinking then next summer for the NES roof? Is that the vision?
I'm thinking that. I'm kind of waiting to see what Jamar finds when they go up there.
Okay, right.
But 2 years ago, I had an analysis done, and they gave me a real detailed analysis, and we were looking at, you know, this year, next year type of thing then, so.
Okay, it is, I believe we are only at 4:47, so we'll just double check and see is there anything else last minute for the summer building projects? If not, then I'll,
I have
Go
a
ahead.
one more question.
go ahead.
Are we going to schedule a building tour for the whole board sometime this summer?
Ah, would that be possible?
I think the goal would be after that NES stage is done, so that let's, either September, or if it's going to be done in October, we need to do it right after that's done, because that'll be so cool.
Okay,
Yeah, and I mean, personally, I'm looking at the mechanical systems and all those kind of things too, so the stage would be a great thing. I mean, maybe it's more of a private thing with me, walking around too, I don't care.
We might want to do a couple tours.
That's what I mean.
I'm
That would
not
take
sure
a
the
long
whole
time.
board could tour every building the same day.
That would take a long time, yeah.
Right.
Sure.
Because you could go to the high school now and it's fine.
okay, so we will set up some dates then that works best for you guys to give us those tours. Anything else on building projects?
I think one of the thing, I think we were talking about having a buildings and grounds committee meeting for the next board meeting too. We can
Ah,
talk about
okay.
that, I think. Buildings and grounds.
For the July meeting.
July 19th, but I'm trying to remember, Peg, what was that one for? Oh, yes. Should we give them a heads up, just like TV shows, say, Yeah. Good. And Mark said yes, he could? Did he get back to you from the voicemail?
I'll have other items too. I'll have other items too for that meeting.
Okay. Well, basically, preview is that we were approached by the town of Maple this morning, asking us to not use their roads with our buses, a back route. What's the name of that road, Lester? Say it again?
Is it the Gonchork Loop?
Okay. And it was safer, perceived safer by Lester, because not having to have our buses go out on Highway 2, basically go the back route. And the town of Maple asked us to pay for their road repair if we're going to continue doing that. And so we wanted to have this committee, your transportation besides building and grounds, and that we would do a 4 o'clock at the July 19th, whatever the third Monday is.
I
would
believe
be.
that's July 19th.
Okay, and we would listen to them, and we would explain our view to them. And Mr. Liebert is the town chair, or excuse me, the Douglas County chair. And so we asked for him to attend as well.
Got
Okay,
it.
So
Okay.
that's the preview. Okay,
Okay, thank you. Anything else? And if not, then can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, we are.